Good evening. I'm Beth Sheffield, the Adult Programming Coordinator here at Greensboro Public Library. Welcome to our hybrid program this dark and stormy evening in Greensboro on Paws and Publishing with Tammy Billups. Let me introduce Bo Bradley. He is the Chavis branch manager.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our hybrid program this evening. My name is Bo Bradley, and I'm the branch manager here at the Advanced Chavis Library. We're really excited to be bringing adult programming back after the pandemic, and this is one of our first big events as our author talk here with Tammy. So I'm not going to take too much time, but the idea behind this event was to celebrate National Pet Adoption Month, which is in November. Many of us in the room have adopted pets before and know what a wonderful experience that can be. And to talk a little more about what that experience is like and how you can help out, I have my friend Casey Crosnan from the SPCA of Greensboro, and she's going to come up, and she has a special friend with her as well named Aurora, and you're going to get to meet Aurora. And she's going to talk a little bit about the work that the SPCA does here in the Triad and how you can help. And then we will switch over and we'll talk to Tammy for a while about her work with animals and writing and all of the other interesting things that Tammy does. So I'm going to turn it over to Casey here and Aurora, and they're going to come up and say hello.
She's like, I just got comfortable over there. Hi, everybody. And if you need to move it to get Aurora, that's fine. She's more important than me. My name's Casey, and I do have my foster puppy, although in the industry, we're going to call her a foster fail or a foster win because I'm never giving her up. And we are grateful to be here tonight. Real quick, just because I want to hear from Tammy for sure. I'm already obsessed because I've read all Tammy's books so far. We are the SPCA of the Triad, and so we're a local animal rescue. What makes us a little bit different than a lot of the other animal rescues in the Greensboro area is we don't solely rely on fosters. We actually have a shelter. We're what's called a limited admission shelter. So we're not like the county shelter who has to take animals. We are a no-kill shelter. So we take what we have space for. And because we're governed by the Department of Agriculture here, we can have up to 30 dogs and 30 cats. So we are unique in that we do have a shelter, but we are different from the county shelter because we are limited admission and we are no kill. But we don't get money from any government agency, so we depend solely on donations and grants to sustain ourselves. And typically where our animals come from, because people always ask us, is obviously people will bring us strays. Please microchip your animals. We always check for microchips, and we are happy to say we get to reunite a lot of animals with their owners, but a lot of animals are not microchipped. So after holding them and publicizing them, oftentimes they become ours, and then we try to adopt them out. We also get owner surrenders, which has really increased in all rescues and all shelters in the last couple of years. We have a lot of COVID puppies coming back, but we also have a lot of people who got sick during COVID and have fallen on hard times and can no longer care for their pets. And so we're fortunate that we can be there for them as a resource. And another way we get our animals is we do pull from county shelters. We try to partner with shelters that have a very high intake and not a low adoption rate out. It is not the county shelter's fault that they have to euthanize when they are full and all of their partner rescues are full. They don't have any other choice. So we try really hard to work with those shelters that have to euthanize their animals. Fun, not so fun fact, North Carolina is the 4th state in euthanasia rates. We fall behind Texas, California, Georgia, or excuse me, Florida, and then it's us and Georgia's behind us. Of those 5 states, they make up 50% of the cat and dog kill rates throughout the country. So we, in the Triad Piedmont area, that's the #1 within North Carolina. So we are really trying to work with everyone to obviously get that down and do our best to become a no-kill state. How you can help SPCA of the Triad, we are always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for financial donations, and we're always looking for in-kind donations. It's not very exciting, but we always need paper towels and bleach and toilet paper, and of course, dog food, kitten food, puppy food. And a really cool story about Aurora is So I said before that we don't rely on fosters, but we do use fosters because even though we have a shelter, if we do have a good foster system, that means we can take in even more animals and save them. And we all know animals do much better in a home. So when an animal can go into a foster home, they see what it's like to be in a home and to get love and to hear the dishwasher run and the vacuum run. And what does a garage door sound like? And it's taken Aurora 4 or 5 months being in my home to even hear those things. But she was actually born on the street. So I'm going to say she was feral. She had spent the first 3 months of her life living with a pack of wild dogs. Mom at some point was turned out and just kept having puppies. Our employees tried to trap as many as they could. They got her and her sister, who actually had a plastic food container stuck on her head for 2 to 3 weeks. She could not eat or drink. She finally got weak enough that we could trap her. We got it off, and she is in a loving foster now too. So what I've been able to do with Aurora as a foster for the SPCA is, again, bring her into my home and show her love, get her to trust me, show her that humans can be good, they can be loving. She quickly figured out the couch was like the place and has decided that she never wants to live on the streets again. But fostering for the SPCA or any animal rescue is critical to the success of our animals in their new home. So if that's ever something you would like to consider, please reach out to any of your local rescues. You can always reach us at triadspca.org, but any animal rescue will take you. You can foster for 1 day, 1 night, 2 weeks. There's usually no set timeline because fosters are needed sometimes for medical care, puppies, or just like Aurora to learn how to be a dog. So thank you for letting Aurora and I come tonight. We are grateful, and thank you for everything you do to support homeless, abused, and neglected animals in the communities where you live. Thank you, Tammy, for letting me say a few things first. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for all you do for so many animals.
I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. Okay, Aurora, let's go.
I know, isn't she? She's doing really, really well.
The cutie.
Well, now it's my pleasure to introduce Tammy Billups. Tammy walks the walk and talks the talk in regard to animals and the deep interconnection that humans have. Because after all, if you ever had a biology class, you know we are all animals. She is a certified therapist in biogenetics and a healer to healers. She's a pioneer and global educator in human relationships with animals. She is the author of, it's now 4 books?
3.
3.
Well, I guess 4 officially, but one is with others.
Yes.
3 on my own. Thank you.
Yeah. She visited Vance Chavis branch via Zoom during the pandemic with her book, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions, and has given talks and lectures internationally. I'm going to post your website. Your new book will be out, the 5D Consciousness. Forgive me, it will be out.
Animal Way Showers, yes.
Animal Way Showers. And tonight we're going to talk about our animal companions, about 5D consciousness, and talk, maybe have some questions from our audience as well. So explain to others, and I've heard the story before, how you got started on this path.
Well, I was always animals are the ones that opened up my heart through my 20s and my 30s. And like a lot of other people, sometimes it's our first unconditional love. So it was really through several passings in my life, through my mother's passing at the turn of the century, around the end of 1999. And then all 3 of my animals passed through my, I guess, spiritual awakening through my mother's trauma, through that experience that I had. And because of that, I started a whole new path and began doing a lot of inner healing work with someone who did energy healing. And all of a sudden I was able to see energy. It was really quite extraordinary at the time and not expected. And I didn't really know what to do with that. But I learned a lot about the 5 core emotional wounds within people during my certification course and through my own inner healing journey. And then I started wondering about, I wonder if animals have these same wounds, and let me start working on animals just to see. And as it turned out, they always, that I have noticed within when I work with a person or their animal, they will harbor the same core emotional wound, meaning if an animal has been abandoned, which we know a lot of dogs in particular that have been abandoned, you can bet that you're going to draw to you and magnetize to you an animal that's going to mirror something within you that needs to get healed. And then that became kind of my niche. And after I started doing this, I thought, I need to read more about this. I need to learn more about this. I can't be the only one that has identified this. And as I started searching for things, I couldn't find anything written. That doesn't mean there aren't others that do it. That just means no one put it in a book. And that's when I thought, okay, I've got to document what I have learned in some essence to help others. So that's why I started writing about everything that I was doing along the journey the past 22 years. You're muted, I think. Let me see.
Technology. Yeah, it is amazing how interconnected those of us that own pets and have had pets, how in tune they are with us. And I have a dog named Chloe, and it's like she's my alarm clock. She gets me up, and it's kind of her job. She knows it's her job to get up. And I think you've talked a lot about in your books too about how animals will listen without judgment and also be very present with us. And it's interesting looking at that and how we can take that to work with people as well. I mean, to be in the moment, to listen without judgment, to live authentically, to hold a safe and loving space for those around us, and how animals, our pets do that for us. What are, and especially talking about the new book, can you explain for us a little bit about 3D, 4D, and 5D relationships?
Yes, I'd love to talk about this. And I went back and forth on even putting 5D consciousness in the title, of wondering how people would relate to that, or if they would be aware of that. And many people are, and many people are not. But I'd love to explain a bit about, we're familiar with 3D consciousness, right? We're familiar that we're having a 3D experience here on Earth, but there are tangible measurements of frequencies within 3D, 4D, and 5D. So when we are living in primarily a vibration of 3D, this 3D earthly experience we're having, then there might be a lot more polarity. There might be a lot more good and bad, and we're projecting onto others, and we have a lot more suffering, and there's more victim consciousness when we're just solely living in the third dimension of frequency, that is 3D. So everything seems like good and bad, and we're, everybody's opposing everyone, and they're, that's more 3D, a lot more suffering. And in our relationships with animals will also mirror that, because animals that are also going through a lot, they're healing, maybe they're biters, they're whatever, they're in more 3D consciousness. And so when we look at 4D, a different level, a different vibration, that's really where we start healing our inner stuff. That's where we start thinking that there might be a bigger picture here. There might be something more in life. There might be an easier way. and we begin to look internally and say, I want to reach for the good. And 5D consciousness is just that place where there is no suffering. If you can even imagine that, it's actually a frequency. And I'll tell you what, everyone has experienced and felt 5D consciousness anytime you're feeling gratitude. I mean, the kind that just opens your heart where you think, I just love this person more than life. Or when you hold a newborn baby or grandchild or puppy or kitten, you know, that kind where you just look at them and you just feel love. And it's because they're vibrating at this higher frequency. And some aspect of our soul, of our psyche, of our being remembers when we were living in that fearlessness that is 5D consciousness as well. And so that's really the goal is to have more 5D experiences. And the animals really have got this down. You know, all those traits that you just explained, if we all emulate our animals with those things and accept others as they are and believe that we are all one and allow people to be where they are as long as they're not hurting anyone, then everything is easier. But we're kind of, go ahead.
Yeah, you even say that, you know, there are co-pilots on this journey to 5D.
Yes, they are absolutely our co-pilots. And if we wake up to what they're trying to teach us, then we can slip into that easier way of living. I call it 5D living, where we don't have to suffer as much, where we don't have to project and pick a side. We can just be who we are.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to open it up for some questions from the audience, and I think we will start here in the room. And so does anyone, and I will repeat them for our online audience here as well so everyone can hear, but does anyone have any questions for Tammy? Do you have anything?
I actually do. I have, just out of curiosity, I have multiple animals in my home. When you do your healing sessions or your energy sessions, do you ever work with, like, if I have 3 dogs, would I work with all 3? Would I pick one? Like, as I was reading your last book, that was my question. I'm like, oh, I want to ask Tammy which dog I should work with.
Well, I have something that I created called tandem healings that I've been doing for maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years. And that's when you choose one animal that you feel is most your mirror or your trigger. You know, sometimes there's a certain animal that's really triggering us or mirroring something for us, and where I can connect to the person and their animal simultaneously. But I just work on, you know, outside of a tandem healing, I would just be working on one animal at a time because it's a deep healing session.
Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I find the idea really interesting that there is kind of like a magnetism and that, you know, things in your animal reflect you and vice versa. So is that something that you think, you know, would you hope that people are being aware of those types of things when they're going out to adopt an animal? Is that the kind of headspace they should be in, or is it something they shouldn't overthink it? Should just, you know, something like that. So.
Oh, that's a great question. And what I recommend when you are getting ready to adopt is you trust that there is a bigger picture. There's divine perfection in whomever you're going to be attracted to, and the animal that's going to come to you as well. And sometimes even when you're not sure of is this the right one, the animal will be the one that is sure and will come forward and say, yeah, you're my person. And know that those mirrors, those underlying mirrors of your emotional wounds or whatever your divine teachings are that you've come together to work on, those will organically and automatically happen. You don't have to control it. You know, it's just going to happen. If you're supposed to be together, there's going to be a way. And it could be you're only supposed to be together for a while, like a foster parent or someone who then, you know, heals with this animal and then they go on to a new home. Just like people who have many different relationships, you know, sometimes these animals at a soul level are also desiring, you know, to move forward. So that's the beautiful role of foster of foster living, and it's so hard to let go of them as you're, when you're fostering the animal. Sometimes you realize, no, what our journey is complete, and now they can go on to their next journey. Did that answer your question, or do you have more?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love that. That was beautiful.
You're welcome.
About for our online members, do you have any questions for Tammy?
Everybody's quiet.
I don't have a question, but I have a testimony.
Oh,
I
please.
I have 2 cats that I adopted, and they came with a bad herpes virus, bad enough that I ended up having to get human antiviral medicine to give them, and they were sick for about 1.5 years. One of mine is very needy. Tammy, they are now 8.5 years old. And Tammy did healings with them, especially the needy one. And every once in a while, they have a little flare up of the virus, which will never go away. But essentially, they're, as the vet said, they're big boys. They weigh 18 pounds, and they're virtually perfectly healthy, and they're sweet, they're lovey. They taught me that I need to accept what they have brought to me, which was a lot of fear with the sickness that they came with. But Tammy was just a miracle in my life to give me peace, that she was helping me to heal my babies.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so grateful.
Yes, yes. And we've got a question in the room.
Hi, Tammy. I was gonna ask, like, what are some of the processes or strategies that you would suggest in terms of bond? I have 3 dogs. In terms of bonding with your dog, making sure that each one has that, I guess, special time with you as the owner, as its owner.
So your question is, how do you juggle that?
Juggle, yes.
How do you
How do you juggle special time with multiple
Yes.
dogs, so that with the human dog relationship?
Yeah, with that deeper soul relationship that you're having with them. There, as Pam just said, when she said the needy one, that's one of the profiles that's in my first book, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions. The needy ones have a lot of abandonment that are usually in your face all the time with those eyes, and they're wanting that energy from you, especially the dogs. They're looking at you like, you're my person. I can't get enough of you. You're everything to me. So sometimes they can kind of worm their ways in, or the other ones that are wanting it. So the important thing to remember is that you take a step back, and you look at your animals from a new perspective. So when you're seeing the one, and you can feel free to give me details, and I'm happy to talk this through with you. But if you have a dog that's over in the corner, you feel like is not getting as much attention, and you're thinking, oh my gosh. So remember that as you're projecting that they're not getting their needs met, you look within you and say, okay, what part of me isn't getting my needs met? And so you have to take it to that higher picture, because the animals will work themselves out. You'll be able to just be drawn and give them time. I'm sure you're doing great with all of them. I'm sure they're all feeling very, very loved in every way possible. So I don't think, so if you find that you're feeling guilty around not doing enough of this way, that, then just, I always say as guilt-free as possible is the way to go. They're going to let you know. And so you're going to be just drawn to the right ones that need you in that moment. And then if you do you have a needy one in your house?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, she's right here all the time.
Yes.
And sometimes she's like, wow, a little overwhelming, but she's a rescue, and she was on the streets. We read her paperwork, she was found just wandering around, and she will just lick you 100 times and she's just right there, she just wants to be, and she wants to be close
Yes.
all the time.
So
Really
the needy
close.
ones are very, very oral. You know, they lick a lot, they bark. Sometimes they'll carry around toys, they're chew a lot, lick a lot. They're, you know, until they heal that abandonment wound. So she really wants to heal that with you. And with people, it just goes back to very early in our lives, not getting needs met by our birth mom. And so those things mirror. But I'll give you advice on the needy one. What you want to do is if you believe in energy, like I do, okay, so sometimes the needy ones will be kind of pulling your energy from your upper belly area and just literally draining you, where afterwards you'll feel like, oh, I get so tired when I'm around this dog. And it's because they're literally, you know, sucking your energy. So you want to be really conscious of when you're around to kind of, you know, sometimes I'm putting a hand on my belly right now that you can't see. Put kind of your hand on your belly and then just consciously don't allow that sucking from her to happen. And then what you want to do is you want to empower her, meaning, you know, she thinks that she has to go externally to get filled, that she doesn't have enough, so she's got to get filled and get loved by everyone. And this is good for the rescues as well, because I'm so sorry I forgot the other person's name. With the rescue group, the SPCA. So what you want to do is you want to really empower them. So when they're looking at you like I need you, or I can't go on, you want to give them that. Don't give them energy, but just say, you've so got this. You've got everything you need. You are lovable. But don't feed them the energy, but tell them that because you know that. And so you want to give them the independence. And a lot of times when there's rescue animals, what people want to do is they want to over love them to make up for what they went through. Yeah. And then that keeps that cycle going, because then they're always going to think that they go externally to get filled. And then it's never enough. And that doesn't mean you disassociate and you don't love them. Of course not. But just kind of giving them that space to say, you know, it's like, you've got this, you are so lovable. Because the core wound behind abandonment is that a distorted belief around I am unlovable. And so of course we don't want our animals to feel that way. And when we're just saying that, we want to go, oh, but you are. But we want to affirm it more than give it. Say like, you've so got this, and just see them being filled with love and light. So I hope that's helpful.
Very, yes. Thank you.
Ben, can I ask a follow-up to that?
Yes, please.
So Tammy, as a follow-up to that, because what I was going to ask was how to bring that energy into, like, at our shelter when we have all those dogs living together, and it's not an ideal environment, right? So what I just kind of heard you say was, can we do that to the dogs at the center too? Because you might have answered my question. Can we give them, like, again, kind of hold, because I think all volunteers, that's what we do, right? So is it a good thing for us to basically be giving them all those verbal affirmations too? And
yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because our words are energy. So whether or not they understand our words, it doesn't matter. They're getting our intention of knowing and telling them that you've got this, you're fine. You know, usually the animals will recover faster than people. The people are locked into the wanting them to feel loved in a way they weren't. But the animals will usually just kind of, you know, I've got this. So that's why I say it's tied into our abandonment stuff when we're triggered by it. So we need to look at, okay, where within ourselves do we have any abandonment that we need to self-fill and know that I am enough, and know that I am lovable, and know that I will always have my needs met. And that's a little harder to do.
Are there other things that we can do as volunteers or employees when we're in that shelter environment for the animals while we're there to help? I don't even know what word I'm looking for, but it's jail, right? I mean, they're alive, but it's still not a foster home or a home. And I think as volunteers, as an employees in a shelter, you always want them to still feel loved and feel safe and all of those things. And I know that it's a stressful environment for them. So if there's some energy things we can do to make it less stressful for them?
You know, I hear what you're saying in that I would call it their transitional place instead of jail,
Okay,
only because of the vibration is different.
right.
With the, you're here and you're loved and you're not on the street and you're getting all of your needs met, and look at you, you hit it out of the park because we love you, and you're no longer in that situation. So we want to focus on the positive, and then say your foster parent is coming in the right and perfect time, and so, because we do get triggered, I think anybody in rescue, there's a part that we're rescuing ourselves as much as what we're rescuing the animals, which is a beautiful thing. It's okay. Everybody needs rescued, So I think just always telling them that their right and perfect person is coming, that so grateful that you manifested being here and getting all of your needs taken care of, because they're not on the street anymore. They're not in an abusive situation anymore, wherever they came from. It is a much better place, and it is transitional,
And
And
I think, yeah, I think that what I hear you saying, Tammy, like in a shelter situation, to actually maybe have like 4 or 5 written affirmations that you go and you talk to each dog or each cat or each rabbit and say, you are in the right place, you're in the right,
Yes.
the perfect situation is coming, you are safe, you are,
Right.
and actually talk to them, because I know and you've been, you to tell your pet thank you for
Yes.
being your pet, and to actually, I mean, to talk to talk to your pet, and actually have affirmations either with your pet or maybe with the shelter animals too.
Yes. There's one shelter that I work with in Marietta, our pal's place, and the director is a good friend that I met many moons ago, and she'll be able to identify what the core wound is. Like if they're aggressive in any way, if they're reactors as we call it, then that there's been betrayal and they need to be safe. And so there's different affirmations that when people look at them, they may be triggered, of course, within their own betrayals and feel unsafe. But we want to make sure that we tell that animal, that they're good because they have a core wound that says I'm bad. And then they're going to keep acting that out until they believe they're good. So there's different things. And in that first book, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions, that's a really good tool, because behind in the book, at the end of every single profile, it goes through, here's what you can do. Here are the steps you can take to help that particular animal's wound heal faster. And I'm happy to work with you at all with that. If you ever want to have a phone call, and you can email me certain animals and I can give you an affirmation, that's fine. Great idea, Beth.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I would guess that a lot of us in the audience have experience with pets and animals, but maybe not so much of an experience with like energy healing and those types of disciplines. What would you recommend for someone who's interested in learning more about things like energy healing and that sort of thing, or experiencing themselves? Like what path would you recommend if you're interested to learn more about that?
Well, beyond my first book, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Gosh, and I see Susan and Pam on here. If you guys know the book too, feel free to chime in, because I know you guys are pretty familiar. But I mean, maybe there's someone that, if there's any metaphysical bookstores or something in your area, you can personally experience some type of energy or Reiki. That's fairly common. And quite frankly, a lot of people who do massage therapy are also do Reiki or do some type of cranial sacral work. And I think what really helps is for you to personally experience it. And then there's many different nonprofits that all they do is offer energy healing to animals that are in shelters. And I know I have quite a few in my realm as well. I try to fit in as many as I can in my schedule to donate, because the animals tend to really soak it in really easily. There's a book for, if you want to learn about it, for people, that's called Light Emerging by Barbara Ann Brennan. And she talks about these 5 core emotional wounds with people. She gives us great introduction to energy work and how it shows up, what it looks like. She has lots of pictures as well. So is that helpful?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And as a librarian, of course, I love that you recommend a book to everybody. That's right on brand.
Good.
Yeah, and we here at the Public Library in Greensboro, we also have some books by some Native American healers, and this is also National Native American Awareness Month as well, and Indigenous Persons Month. Wanted to, you know, there are a lot of good books out there.
There are.
I would also just throw in that when when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And the fact that you're questioning what energy healing is and you're going to be so surprised. Things are going to start coming to you. That's information that you are looking for.
Thanks, Pam. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tammy, for taking time. Congratulations on this next book. We'll have you come to Greensboro one of these days. It's been so nice, though, to get to know you during this pandemic time. And thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and wisdom about so many different things.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the invitation to be here with you tonight.
Thanks. Bo, do you have anything you want us to close with?
I'll just say thank you to everybody for supporting the Greensboro Public Library. We love to offer you really interesting programming like this. Like I said up top, especially our adult programming is still really in a relaunching phase. So just expect more and more of that from us here at Chavis, but from us across the system as well. If you're interested in learning more about Tammy or animals, really anything, just come to your public library. We can help you out with that. Tammy mentioned visiting some metaphysical bookstores. We have some really excellent stores like that here in Greensboro as well. Terra Blue downtown, and there are some out on Gate City as well. And I really encourage you to reach out to all those places if you're interested in this. And Tammy, again, thank you so much for joining us. Casey, you as well, and Laura. It's wonderful to have guests here in the library. We love connecting our customers with all of these interesting and people doing really wonderful work, both here locally and around the world. So thank you, Tammy and Casey and Aurora.
You're welcome, and thank you all for your love of animals.
And I want to thank those in the Greensboro community that are a member of our Greensboro Public Library Foundation. It is through the support of the foundation that we get to do a lot of creative adult programming here in Greensboro. So thank you for those of you who are members of the foundation, and thank you all for coming out on this dark and stormy night, either online or in person.
Thank you, Beth.